Let me ask you first of all about this mandate for any company that has 100 or more people, because that affects me. I'm not going to do that. And what are the fines? Isn't it like $70,000 per instance?
The president said 14.
Yeah, so it was.
Well, but they upped
day.
it.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they started with.
So, and here's what's interesting about this. So right now, the reason there's confusion is because there is no mandate. It's only been by press release, which is an interesting way to do mandates.
Yeah.
Because what's happening, we know that there's a lot of issues with big tech. We know there's a lot of issues with some of these big corporations and kind of the Marxist socialist direction they're already leaning, encouraging in what they're doing. And so they use the press conferences as the excuse to say, well, the president said it, we have to do it. Right, but just because the president says something doesn't mean it was actually an executive order. And executive orders, by definition, only apply to the executive department, because that's who the president is in charge of, the executive department. So it can impact the military, it can impact private contractors or those who specifically work in the federal government. But for every private business, the federal government does not have the power to mandate or dictate for private businesses. But again,
all right, but since it's not even an executive order yet,
correct.
How come people are already being expelled from the military?
Well, it is something for the military, it is something for private contractors, and it is something for federal government employees. That is something he has stated that, so it does impact that.
So he doesn't have to do an executive order, he just says it and they have to obey what he says?
Well, where he did not give an order was for private businesses. There was an order for his department, for the executive department. So, so that does exist, but this is where there's confusion, because you have airlines now. That airlines are saying, well, we have to have these mandates, and it's the president doing it. Or we could pick any major corporation, arguably, who's kind of leaning that direction, and they're pointing to the president's statement as the reason that they're required to do a mandate. Well, the president's statement doesn't have the force of law. And just to clarify, let's say that he did give a mandate, right? And what we know is probably he's going to use one of his health department somethings, and they're going to come out with an order for the good of America that we're going to do this scientific-backed health mandate. That's likely not going to hold up in court. You might have some liberal judge somewhere that upholds it on a state level. It's going to get appealed all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to look at that and recognize the federal government or one of their agencies does not have the constitutional authority to enact a mandate on private business.